Hello everyone, my name is Hitesh and I welcome you all to TradeBrains YouTube channel. Now before moving on, please do comment, like and subscribe on our videos, and don't forget to press the bell notification icon so as and when we publish new content, you just get the notification straight onto your device. Now this video is very interesting one because it's also one of the biggest problem of any salaried individual. I'm talking about the problem of how to save taxes. Now, as and when we receive salary, the first thing which comes to everyone's mind is like there is a certain portion of it which will go in paying the tax obligation. So the idea behind this video is to give you some schemes or some ideas by which you can save a lot of tax. So let us jump right into the video. Through this video, I'll be talking about the concept of ELSS, that is the tax saving mutual funds. So we have to understand how does these fund help us in saving the tax. So let us understand what exactly is an ELSS. ELSS is an acronym for Equity Linked Saving Schemes. And ELSS are basically tax saving equity linked mutual fund schemes. So basically all the mutual funds under the ELSS scheme of tax saving are having a lot of investment, or majority of the investment going in the equity shares of the company. And the scheme has a 3-year lock-in period from the date of investment. Now this is one important criteria to understand, that in general the schemes which are not tax saving for schemes are open-ended scheme. By open-ended, what I mean is that you can buy or sell the mutual funds as and when you desire. But in case of ELSS schemes or the tax saving funds, you have to have a minimum lock-in period of 3 years from the date of investment. And after the completion of the 3 years, the fund again becomes an open-ended mutual fund. That is, after completing 3 years, you can buy or sell the fund as and when you desire. Now the next important thing which you have to understand, that what is the benefits of the ELSS. The first benefit being the tax saving. So how does the tax saving happens? So under the purview of ELSS, that is the tax saving mutual funds, an amount of up to 1,50,000 are covered under the section 80C of the Income Tax Act. That is, you get a rebate up to amount of rupees 1,50,000. The second being the lower tax on gains. So up to the capital gain of rupees 1 lakh, it is tax exempted, and any income beyond that has a capital gain tax of 10% only on the total amount of gains which is made beyond 1 lakh. And the third being the compounding benefit. Now how does that happen? It is generally advised that if you are someone who's investing, the investing period should be at least 5 to 10 years to reap the benefit of compounding, that is, to get interest on the interest which you have earned over the period of years. So as the ELSS schemes have a minimum lock-in period of 3 years, you can get a lot of benefit of compounding. So supposedly if you had invested rupees 100 on the first year and you have got a gain of rupees 10% on it, so total value of your fund becomes 110 rupees. And next year again, if you make again 10% gain, so you make that gain on rupees 110. So that is how you compound the benefits which you make by using the ELSS schemes. The next being SIP mode. So it is not necessary for anyone to invest the whole amount of ELSS at one go. You can SIP or SIP the investment. By SIP I mean the systematic investment plan. You can decide on the amount of money which you want to invest on month-to-month basis. The next being the safe and transparency. All the money which are being managed by the ELSS tax saving funds are very safe and transparent, to the tune that any investment made from the money which has been deposited in that scheme will have to be disclosed to the investors, that this amount has gone this, the benefit from this investment was this much, this is when we exited the investment. All the information will have to be given to the investors. The next being the redemption after 3 years is not compulsory. So what I'm trying to say is this: you must be thinking that if I have got a 3 years lock-in period, so after finishing 3 years, do I have to pull the money out of the scheme? No, you don't have to do that. You just have to keep continuing investing. If you need money after 3 years, you can pull the money out and use it for the desired purpose. But if you still feel that I just want to keep investing in this fund, you can let the money roll on into that scheme and it becomes an open-ended mutual fund for you after that. The most important benefit, the short lock-in period. In general, if you want to invest your money in PPF, you have a lock-in period of 15 years. But in case of ELSS schemes, you have a lock-in period of 3 years only, which means after 3 years, if you need that money for some contingency or emergency purpose, or if you have some benefits or needs, you can pull the money out of these schemes. But if you've invested money in your PPF, the money has to be locked in for 15 years. So these are some of the benefits of using the ELSS or the tax saving schemes. So the next important thing which you have to understand, that now that I have given you an idea that what exactly is a tax saver fund or what exactly is the ELSS scheme, we have to understand how do I choose, what are the criteria based upon which I should choose my tax saver fund. There are multiple tax saver funds in the market, but deciding on which one to choose is a difficult one. Here are some of the criteria which we have used to decide on which mutual funds to be invested and which are the good ones in the market right now. The first one being the fund manager. Now, this is very important to understand that fund manager is a person who decides on where the money from the fund is going on. So he is the sole person who decides as to where the money is invested, how much returns are to be generated, how are the returns generated, where to invest money, where to invest where not to invest the money. All these decisions are taken under the purview of fund managers. So these are the person who are very important in deciding the performance of the fund. So we have to be very careful in understanding the past history of the fund, how have they managed the fund earlier, what are the benefits which are being generated by these kind of fund managers. So if we get clearly satisfied by the quality of the work which is done by fund manager, then it becomes very easier decision for us to choose which fund to invest in. The second important criteria is the expense ratio. Now, what exactly is an expense ratio? Expense ratio is the cost incurred to manage the fund. It includes the fee for the fund manager, other administrative and the operational expense. All these expenses are covered under the purview of expense ratio. So the fund which has a lower expense ratio always gives a better return than the fund which has a higher expense ratio. So the next important criteria is the annualized return. Now we have to understand that each and every scheme have a annualized return for that particular category. Like what is the 5-year annualized return generated by that category of scheme. So if the fund which you have chosen is able to beat the return which has been generated by those funds, then those funds are always better because you will always be outperforming the market and generating certain extra returns from the investment which you have made. And the next important factor is the asset under management. Now, this factor is generally ignored by a lot of people. But this is a very important factor because the bigger the amount of money which is being managed by the fund, the more reliable the fund, which means the more people are trusting the fund, which also means that the fund is able to generate a lot of returns for the investors. So the size of the asset under management becomes a very important criteria while deciding the fund which we want to invest in. The fifth most important criteria is the rating provided by the rating agencies. Now, these rating agencies do a lot of research, they have a lot of algorithms, and they have a lot of different criteria based upon which they provide rating to these funds. So, the rating agency provided by reputed agencies like the Value Search Rating or the CRISIL rating, these are very important criteria in deciding the funds to invest in. It is generally advisable to go for funds which are provided minimum 4-star rating because they are meeting quite a lot of criteria which are being set by these rating agencies. And the last but not the least, the important factor is the history of fund houses. There are a lot of asset management companies in the market, like the Canara Asset Management, the Aditya Birla, HDFC, ICICI. So the reputation of the fund house makes a lot of difference. Say if the fund house has been performing well for last 10 to 12 years, the schemes generated or the schemes provided by them have been giving very decent returns to the investors. So if we are able to choose funds based on the performance of the fund houses, we can be rest assured that the funds will do the best to provide the best returns to the investors. So the history of the fund house makes a lot of difference in choosing the right mutual funds. Before moving on, this is a small disclaimer on the video. These are some of the tax saving funds which are being recommended based on our research. The first being the Canara Robeco Equity Tax Saver Fund. So the parent company again is a very reputed brand of Canara Mutual Fund. The asset under management is about 1100 crores. The expense ratio is about 1.24%, and the annualized return generated by this fund is about 9.16%, which beats the average category return of 6.8%. So this fund has been outperforming the category. And the next 3 rows are the portfolio distribution of this fund. So this fund puts about 96% of the total asset under management into equity, and the others have about 4% of the investment. The others includes the TREPS amount, the fixed deposits, and the other funds. And this fund has got a rating of about 5-star from the Value Research Rating. The next important fund which we are going to be talking about is the Mirae Asset Tax Saver Fund. This again is a very recent fund, but the performance by this fund has been beating all the industry estimates. This has been one of the outperformers in this category for last 3 years. It's got an AUM of about 4,000 crores. The expense ratio for this fund is on the lowest. This is the lowest in the industry, about 0.42% only. And the annualized return, which is very significant number of 15.88% by this fund. So this fund has been beating all the estimates, and this fund has been generating a lot of return for the investors and saving a lot of tax for them. And again, this fund has got a rating of about 5-star from the Value Research Rating. And the other 3 funds which we'll be talking about is the Axis Long Term Equity Fund, the DSP Tax Saver Fund, and the Aditya Birla Sun Life Tax Relief 96 Fund. All these three funds are the industry stalwarts. They have an asset management of about 20,000 crores, 10,000 crores, and the expense ratio are again on the lower side, that is on the less than 1%. And these funds have been also giving very consistent return for 8 to 8.5%. So these are the 5 funds, according to us, are one of the best performers in the industry right now, and they have been meeting and beating the expectation of the market, and also providing very good returns to the investors. And the common factor among these funds is the rating, that all the 5 funds mentioned here have a rating of minimum 4-star provided by the rating agencies. So these are the 5 funds which are being recommended based on our judgment and our criteria of selection. I hope you got a decent understanding of what exactly is a tax saver fund and what are the benefits which you can get out of it. And if you have any more doubts or any queries, please put your queries in the comment section. We'll be very happy to answer all of them. I thank you for your patient hearing. I'll see you in the next section of more financial education videos. Thank you so much.